Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode 82 in an ongoing series of live broadcasts designed for those with a growth mindset or those who'd like to develop one. It's a chance to play with new ideas, new concepts, and try on new mindsets. All right, so if you'll take a moment really quick and just beneath this video, click on share and invite your community, your colleagues, your world to join the conversation. So the playground we're going to dive into today is a quote. I get that my reference to it about money is the root of all evil actually came from First Timothy, but let's stay with the current one. Don't worry about the level of individual prominence you have achieved. Worry about the individuals you have helped become better people. You know, the quotes always seem so simple on the surface. And I like the way this one plays. And forgive the way the screen is playing today. There's a little extra blue, but we'll see how this all works out. Back to First Timothy and what I referred to as I was corrected in one of the comments as an old adage. Money is not the root of all evil. I realized that as this quote popped up in my queue. What came up was that over-inflating or upregulating the importance of money is the root of all evil. Money is a currency of exchange. It's a tool. But when we measure our success, when we measure our value, our worth, our importance, or even our impact by the amount of money we make, the amount of money we have, the amount of money we save, we give money a level of power that is undeserved and overinflated. And I think that starts us down this soul-crushing spiral that we overinflate money as a currency, and we don't look at the real portfolio we have, the currencies that mean something to us: connection, community, family, travel, experience. There's so many things that are unique to each of us that are in our individual portfolio of currencies. Money is not even a currency. It's an exchange of value that allows us to explore those other currencies. And so that's when we misattribute power to money, that's where we go into that soul-crushing spiral, right? And I know it sounds dire, and it kind of is, right? For me and in my work, the true measure of success is in the number of lives made better, in our impact footprint, not the dollars amassed. And let me pull up for just a second the full quote from Clayton Christensen. It said, "I've concluded that the metric by which God will assess my life isn't dollars, but the individual people whose lives I've touched." I think the way it works, I think that's the way it works for all of us. Don't worry about the level of individual prominence you've achieved. Worry about the individuals you've helped become better people. That's my final recommendation. Think about think about the metric by which your life will be judged, and make a resolution to live every day so that in the end, your life will be judged a success. It takes this much deeper. Saying that your ultimate success is measured by the footprint of your impact, the number of lives you've touched in a positive way. Now, I'm not impressed by Jeff Bezos's $130 billion that he's amassed, and I'm not impressed by the Koch Brothers billions or the war chest that Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk have. What moves me is the impact that those billions can have, right? Traditional billionaires, those that have amassed at least $1 billion in net worth, those aren't heroes, not to me. Those who are the impact billionaires, those who they have, or they're on track to, or they're driven by an insatiable desire to positively impact 1 billion lives, they're my heroes. They're the impact billionaires. And so today, I have one of my heroes on, and I get to see her face as I say that. And I want to introduce Robbin Jorgensen. And Robbin is someone I've known for 8 years now.
Yeah,
There she
yeah,
is.
8.5.
Met Robbin when she was still in her training to become a coach. And Robbin has a company called Women Igniting Change. What she's doing is changing the way women are seen as, included in, sought after, and then eventually relied upon being part of the economic engine at the country level. And she's doing this in Rwanda right now and spreading that out country by country across this globe. Robbin is an impact billionaire. And thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. Wow.
So I want to try to bring all three of these up, you, me, and this quote. How did this land for you?
I was looking at the comments that came on, before today.
Mhm.
It's a powerful quote, and I still resonate with it. Several years ago, I don't know that I would have as much, but doing the work that I'm doing now in Africa, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Look, I want to be realistic for folks that are watching and that see this on the replay. I say that it's about the impact, and yet we also still have to eat. Right? There's the practical aspect of doing work that funds your habit, that funds your dream and your desire. So how do you balance the work that you're doing, that's the impact work,
Right.
and how do you fund that?
Yeah, so I have an amazing team that helps me. And that's such a good point, because there's a lot of people out there. When I first started Women Igniting Change, my family included, who loves me dearly. Why do you need to make $1 million? You don't need to make $1 million. Well, yes, I do, in order to have this impact that we're talking about. So back to your question, I have an amazing team that on the corporate side of what we do at Women Igniting Change, I can bench out some of that work to my team, and it's handled, and they're rock stars at it, and then I can go back to Rwanda and focus on that work. So that's how we do it.
So building up enough of a business engine here or wherever the footprint is, so that it allows you to do this work where you're drawn to.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and having the money from that in order to go do that. Yeah.
So I know this may seem an odd question, and you've known me long enough, I just ask what bubbles up. When did you know you were going to be an impact billionaire without knowing what that term was?
Ooh. I think I'm just going to go with my gut answer. When I found the logo for Women Igniting Change. That was, I think, because it's a woman enveloping the globe with a spark coming out of her hand. And that was the global nature of the impact I knew I wanted to have. So that's when.
Yeah, but that's interesting. You and I both know that when you sit with somebody who's doing design or branding work, you've got to give them enough of a sense of what it is to create it. So there's a knowing what it was before you knew.
Totally. Yeah. And when I saw the logo, when it came through, I just started crying. I'm like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I knew it. Yeah.
And what's the draw? What's the compulsion? Where does that come from to have this impact?
It first started coming from the corporate space, because I wanted to go back in and serve the woman I used to be when I was in corporate. And I think I've always been drawn to Africa in some sense my entire life, and doing something on the continent. I just didn't know what it was at the time. And then I think Africa found me versus me finding it, because there was so many things that just fell into place to get me to Rwanda 2.5 years ago. So I think it chose me.
I think that's a really good piece, Robbin, because you don't always plot a course. There's not always a straight line between what you dream and making it happen. It tends to be rather circuitous. So how do you know which urges to follow, which happenstance to lean into?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, being a coach and always having a coach, I've learned to trust my gut and my instinct and not just push it away and say, yeah, and go do something completely different. So I stopped and listened to it. And since starting Women Igniting Change 8.5 years ago, that's what I've tried to do, is to listen to that. And it hasn't steered me wrong yet. So,
but it doesn't always make sense. It's not always the logical
totally
next step.
Does not. Yeah, when I had this, I call it a divine download. February 6th, I remember it very specifically. I was putting mascara on in my bathroom. I get this divine download that says, you need to build economic empowerment centers for women in Rwanda. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, right. And again, I started crying. I'm like, okay, that's what's next for Women Igniting Change. Here we go. Yeah.
And it's one thing to have the download and then taking action, right? It's listening to it and then saying, okay, now.
Well, I said okay immediately, and then, all of those saboteurs show up in your head. Like, you can't pop, like, what are you thinking? That's way too big. For those of you that know Gallup's Strength Finder tool, my number one is futuristic. So I can see for miles and miles. So the vision automatically is like, laying out right in front of me. And I'm like, ooh, that's huge. I don't know about that. But knowing how to quash that, here's the thing about quashing those for me. Evidence shows up everywhere that makes them go away. And I'll give you an example. So the vision being too big. Started taking action once I put that aside a little bit. And it was still like a little scary. So my team and I start designing this gorgeous brochure. We go to Rwanda to do a listening tour. I brought my assistant over with me in July to talk to key stakeholders on the ground and say, here's our vision. What do you think of this? So my ultimate goal was to meet with the Minister of Gender. Had no meeting with her before I got there. Didn't know if I was going to get in. Didn't hear back from her office before I got there. I get on the ground, of course, because someone knows someone that gets me in to meet her. She has 20 minutes for me. And then in that time frame, I get her full support, and she says, this is just the first one of many, right? So, it's just, and then I have examples on the ground of women who are American who went to Rwanda and built physical buildings and all of these incredible things. So if you listen and pay attention, the universe will show you exactly what to do to make those voices go silent, the bad ones. Another one I had was, you're too old, I'm 52. Laying out a 10-year plan, you're going to be 62. What could you possibly need to accomplish? And then something comes up on Facebook with Jimmy Carter still building houses for Habitat for Humanity after hip surgery at 94. Okay, excuse me. So everything just kind of shows up if you listen and just makes excuses disappear.
Well, there are two pieces. First, if you listen, and then if you trust.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what's always been adorable about you is you take that as a given, right? But really saying that out loud and owning it, not just pausing to pay attention for the divine download or to collect the evidence that things will work out or to displace the language of the saboteur. It's trusting that that's true.
Yes. And I think the main thing, even outside of those, universal signs that show up to make the saboteur go away, it's being on the ground with these women. This can't not happen for them. It can't. You see these women. The only difference between the women in Africa and the women in the US is that we won the geographic lottery. Yeah. That is the only difference. They have the same talents and gift and skills that we have. They just need the opportunity and the resources to use them. So when you sit with them and you see what the needs are and you hear their desires and their wants, that trumps everything, everything. So
you're not from Rwanda. You have no tie, no historical tie whatsoever. So what do you do when they look at you from outside and say, who are you and why are you here? I mean, yes, this is noble. And who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, they can feel it because there are a lot of people that go over in an effort to save people. They don't need saving. They don't need saving. So they can feel your intention and they can feel your heart. And staying connected with them. And, when we were there in July, they have maize, which we would call corn. And they literally pick it off kernel by kernel. That's how they get the corn off. And I'm like, well, we have like corn huskers that would get it off like that. So doing little things to show that you actually mean what you say and you're coming back. I've been there 4 times. I'm going back again in November. So the actions that you show them that your intentions are pure.
So extend this beyond. I know that you and I had conversations about what you're doing with the diplomatic corps here to try to expand it off continent. Where else are you looking? What's happening? How are you expanding your footprint?
Yeah, so Africa has 54 countries. So the goal is to have, there's 5 provinces in Rwanda. The goal is to have a Kora Women's Center in every province in Rwanda, and then have multiple centers in every country on the continent. That's first. And then from there, we'll move up to Southeast Asia because there's also a great need there.
You also
and then from there, we'll head down to Latin America. That's third.
But interestingly, you got some interest from the German ambassador.
Yes, I know.
So this is the point is this is applicable in the first world countries as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So what's the end game?
Ooh, the end game. Well, there's 7 billion people on the planet.
7.5. Think bigger.
Yeah, and 50% of them are women. So, if you extrapolate that to, young women up to, whatever age, I mean, the goal is to impact billions of women on the planet through Women Igniting Change and through the Kora Women's Centers.
So I'm curious, because we're talking about all of this impact outside of your home country.
Right.
What do you see here?
What do I see here? So here I see us doing work mainly in the corporate space, because I go in and I see all of these amazing women who still are wearing the mask that I used to wear every day. And we want to go in and help them take that mask off and lead from that authentic place and not the robotic place. So I see it helping transform corporate America for women leaders. That's what I see the work here.
That's the key. All of this started from taking off your own mask.
No question.
Noticing that was the core.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Whether it's the mask that you put on or whether it's the mask that you put on or whether it's the mask that those homogenizing cultural forces place on you. So absolutely. Where can people trigger the awareness of what the unconscious holdback is for them? By
taking the time to step back and listen to your own voice, which most people, I know for women especially, not just in corporate but around the world, we are moving at such warp speed as a society right now that we don't take the time to step back and give yourself 10 minutes a day, literally to just be, not the doing part. We're human beings, not human doings. And that being part, take 10 minutes to just be with yourself. Put a question out there, get quiet, listen. So just start training yourself to listen to your own voice, I think is the first step.
And then stay connected to that as you start moving. We joked about this when people are doing workshops or events or offsites for corporate. You've heard me use this term before. I always call it cube amnesia. You have a great full day offsite and there's a tremendous strategic plan and everybody's excited and motivated. And then they go back the next day to work and the phone starts ringing and they get back into their pace and forget everything. They go back to the rat race. So it's keeping in touch with that voice and carving out time to make a conscious choice about what you think about.
Absolutely. And I mean, 5 minutes. Everyone has 5 minutes in their day to do that. Everybody.
Having it and taking it are the difference.
That is very true.
And I appreciate your coming on to play with this. As I said to you, when I saw this quote, I was like, wow, this is a no-brainer. This is the time to talk about Impact Billionaires. And maybe Robbin's around on Monday. And I appreciate your coming to play with this one. I've done a lot of struggling on my side with how I want to show up and what my impact footprint is. And I realized that there are so many things that move me that could be my impact billionaire footprint. And what became clear over the last year and what I fought like hell is the idea of kingmaker versus king. It's the opportunity to serve the impact billionaires, to do this work and to have that impact, rather than being the one on stage per se, being the focal point, being the one doing that work. It's enabling that amazing work that comes from inside for other people. That's a superpower.
That is your superpower for sure.
Thank you. Well, and I keep hearing the yes, but, right? You're supposed to be the one on stage. You're supposed to be the one doing that work. And yes, being on stage to serve the impact billionaire. Yes, I think that's the trait, because I've never met a stage I didn't like. It doesn't mean I'm not terrified of getting up there, but I love being the center of attention.
Right.
You may have noticed.
Yeah, I do too. I love being on stage. Give me a stage.
And so I think this is my zone of genius, and getting a chance to play with it more in the last year and curate a group of more impact billionaires that are doing this work has been, oh my God, it's been fueling for me.
That's the fueling part. Like your face when you just said that, that's everything. Yeah. Because that's what I so want for everyone listening to this, is to, when you find that thing that moves you so deeply that it can't not happen, and you literally could do it 24/7 and never get tired. That's it. That is the thing. Yeah.
Well, look, thank you for playing, Robbin. Always.
Pleasure.
One of your superpowers is diving into the sandbox and playing full out. So thanks for
I get to talk about, the Core Women's Center, Women Igniting Change. I'm in.
Well, and I put it up on the screen. I'm going to pop it up one more time, and I'll make sure that it's in the comments as soon as the broadcast is over. That you can definitely find out more about Robbin and about what she's doing by going to Women Igniting Change. And you can see the logo and see Cora holding the globe.
Yeah.
And it's an unbelievable mission. It's a brilliantly expansive footprint, and it's a great way to see how somebody listening for that divine download can turn it into a global movement.
Yeah.
And 8.5 years ago, when she started Women Igniting Change, she had no concept of what the footprint would be.
Oh my God.
2.5 years ago, she was just a little less clueless about what the impact would be. And every one of you who listens to this or follows the stream or hears the podcast has the opportunity to lean into what your impact is going to be. Whatever your impact footprint is, it's more and designed to be more than just you. Sure. You have to listen to what it's going to be. And that's the mindset that I'd love for you to hold on to this week and going forward is learning what your impact is and leaning into it, regardless of the voices in your head. The opportunity for you is to choose a mindset that allows you to move forward and have an impact.
Absolutely.
Robbin, thank you. And folks, please come to facebook.com/groups/Mindset Mondays. Join the conversation. And between now and next week, what mindset will you choose?